Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Farrah, and today is the introduction and start of a new vlog. So it's the end of May. I've gotten a little bit of reading done since my last vlog, and I'm just going to introduce some of the books that I'm working on that you'll probably hear me talking about a little bit throughout this particular vlog. So I have 3 books going right now, all in different formats. And the physical book that I'm reading is Spring, an anthology for the changing seasons by Melissa Harrison. And this is part of a 4-book series that I bought recently for my birthday that focus on the seasonal changes of each season. That focuses on the wildlife and nature changes within each season that we pass through. So these books are written with a focus on the UK and the UK or Britain change of seasons. But it's very similar to what I experience here, so I'm forgetting that it's mostly all British authors that I'm reading about. But it's really fun so far. It's an anthology of modern nature writers, modern photographers, intermingled with passages taken from different classic novels where they're talking about depictions of spring. So for example, there's an excerpt here from Jane Eyre. There's different pages of nature journals back in the 19th century, even as far back as the 1700s. So it's a really nice mixture and collection of different pieces of writing, and I'm really enjoying it. Some of the entries I like a little bit better than others, but for the most part, I'm really liking almost every single one. And what I really like about this is that in the end, they have different bios of all the people that contributed. So it's really fun. I'm really enjoying this, and I'll have more thoughts to come as I work my way through this. Another book I'm working on is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And this book is really fun. I'm reading this as an ebook, and it's part of the Read What You Own challenge as well as Spring. And it's fun. It's a fun little escape into the world of Harry Potter. It's a world that I'm very familiar with visually from the movies, so it's really easy to picture everything, to picture the characters, to picture certain events like all the Quidditch matches and Hogsmeade and Hogsworth Castle, and it's just fun to be back in that world, and it's fun to be reading it as I've never read the books before. And I can remember when the first Harry Potter book came out, I was working at a summer camp in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, and all the kids were just obsessed with these books. And it really wasn't on my radar. I never heard of it. I didn't know it, and I didn't read the books then. But I did pick them up a few years later with the intent of reading them. I just never got around to it. I enjoyed the movies a lot, though. So that's great. And what I love about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is that you have a good sense of who the people are, who the characters are, who the professors are, and the world that you're already in. So now it's fun just to see all these different things unfolding. And there's a couple of different subplots going on that are really keeping my interest. So we have Hermione and her arc, just showing her trying to just take on so much academically and trying to hold it all together, and some relationship conflicts that are going on between that triangle of friends, Harry, Ron, and Hermione. And then we've got, of course, Harry's story, which is very focused on winning the Quidditch Cup and him preparing for that, but him also escaping death once more, and the mystery unfolding behind who Sirius Black is, and the unraveling mystery of what happened to his parents and all of that. And then we have Hagrid's story of Buckbeak and what's going on with that. So there's a lot of different subplots within the story that are all really fun, and I really enjoy how it's mostly told from Harry's perspective. So that is usually my preferred way to read books, is from one main point of view character. Sometimes multiple points of views work really well in other types of books, but I just think for this one it really works well for me. So really enjoying Harry Potter so far. And then with The Rising Storm, I don't know how much I can really get into this because it's a sequel from the other book in the series called The Light of the Jedi. So just to be really general, these books take place about 200 to 300 years prior to the Phantom Menace, and it's a group of Jedi that are working closely with the Republic, which is actually the villain in the later novels and movies, the Republic, Darth Vader, and all that. So right now the Republic is still kind of keeping the peace. It's a peaceful government. There's not a lot of drama going on. And again, they have a great partnership with the Jedi Knights who help to keep order and keep safety amongst the galaxies and universe that they're serving. So Light of the Jedi, the first book, basically followed the story of this giant starship called the Legacy that was blown up while it was traveling through hyperspace. And pieces and shrapnel of that ship began exploding out of hyperspace and hurtling towards different planets and different systems and destroying and killing all these people. So the Jedi were enlisted to help stop this and help try to predict where these shrapnel pieces were going and how they could use the Force and work together to protect all the people. And then as the book unfolds, you finally see who the villain is, who kind of was behind all of this. So what I love about this series so far is that the villain is really interesting. They're not just really, really bad. They're bad, but they also have like good, like some interesting dynamics within them. You know, it's kind of more of there's a gray area in there. You're getting their perspective. You're getting his emotions and his insecurities. And so it's a really good balance with the villain, I feel. The different characters. This book is nice because now I know who most of the characters are. There's not a ton of introduction of new characters. I mean, there are still some, but I just feel like I'm here. I'm in the world now. I'm not as confused as I was before. And so the pacing is really well done. I don't feel like there's a ton of action happening in the first part of the book that I'm in now, but I feel like as I go on, I know that it's going to flip a switch and that we're going to get a lot more action coming in. The Jedis that we're following are really likable. There's one character named Bell that I really enjoy his personality. There's even a little romance going on, which I was surprised to see, but that's interesting as well. I love the character of Elzar Mann. He's one of my favorites so far. And I'm listening to this as audio, and the audiobook is amazing. It's so, so good. It's narrated by Mark Thompson, and he did, I think, the Thrawn trilogy. He's also done multiple different Star Wars books, and he does so many different characters and voices, and they're all different and unique. And he's so good. The acting is really, really good. So the audio book experience of listening to this is really good. And this book is focused on, they're preparing to have this galactic fair to kind of bring unity among the galaxies. They feel like they've defeated our villain from the first novel, but of course they haven't, and we see the scheming behind the scenes of what's going to happen. And so we're kind of at that point in the book, but it's really good. I love being in the world of Star Wars, even though this is a world that I'm not familiar with in terms of what I've already experienced through the Star Wars legends and canon and everything. So, but it's fun. It's really fun. I'm enjoying this series quite a bit. So those are the books that I'm going to be focusing on this vlog and go from there. So yeah, I will check in with you guys soon once I've read a little bit more.
All right, so I'm out walking and I heard this really loud buzzing sound. At first I thought it was like a tractor or machinery or something going by, but no. Then I look up in the trees. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's just like, I don't know what's going on over there. It just looks like a giant, crazy swarm of bees. They're all around that tree right there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna turn around and go the other way. Yikes. Okay guys, so here's that tree I was showing you the other day with all the bees around it. I'm guessing it was just a honeybee colony that was forming a new hive because it's quiet now, and I see a few bees buzzing around. So there's a big hole in that tree, and I'm guessing that's what it was. I was so freaked out by that. I'm like, I just pictured myself being swarmed and stung to death. That's what I saw, but in reality, they probably wouldn't have even noticed me. Hey guys, good morning. It is Tuesday, May 20th, and for some reason the girls don't have school today, so I am enjoying a little bit of extra time on the porch reading before work, and I'm still working on Spring, an anthology for the changing seasons, edited by Melissa Harrison, but it's made up of a collection of different nature writing essays and poems, and they're from just a number of different people. Some of the people are writers that I recognize, others are newer, more modern writers, and there's no rhyme or reason to how they're placed in the book. The only thing I can tell right away is that we're kind of starting with early spring in the beginning, so I'm wondering if we get towards, late spring towards the end. But it's nice. What's interesting is that before each piece, there's not really a title, and you don't know who wrote it, so I'm having fun just reading it and then trying to figure out if it's a modern piece or if it's for an earlier works. And some of these I'm really surprised to see are pretty old, like this one's from 1871. I mean, sometimes you can tell right away as you're reading it, just the style of writing, that it's modern, but I am really enjoying it. It's nice. It's a nice collection so far. There's a good variety. There's some nature journaling type of pieces that you can tell are written by biologists. There's some really nice poetry. I'm not the hugest poetry fan, but I am enjoying the poems that are in here. So maybe nature poetry could be my thing. But it's nice. I almost wish I had started this back in February or March, because I think the anticipation of reading about the upcoming season is actually more fun than reading about the season that you're currently in. Like for us, it's really warm out today. It's a beautiful day. It's going to get very hot into the 80s. Tomorrow's going to be in the 90s, which is hot for us. We're not used to that. And so that's really early for us to have that kind of weather. So it already kind of feels like summer. I know I have a blanket on my legs, but it was cloudy a second ago. But yeah, so I think once I'm done with this, I'm going to dive right into the summer book and kind of get a head start on that. And the end of the book, it has a list of author biographies, so you can get an idea of who these people are if you've never heard of them. I mean, we've got Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte's in here. There's a little fly. Someone I just read was Jo Cartmel, who is a naturalist. I really liked her piece. And this is focused on British authors, and it's focused on the British Spring. So there's a section about the bluebells, which I've seen pictures of different people I know that live in England, of those forests filled with those blue flowers. I don't think we have that here, and it's so beautiful. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I really am. It's a nice morning read, and I like it. I'm also working on my 2 books down here. There's my slippers. But I'm still working on Clarissa. There's my overnight oats and my tea too. And underneath Clarissa is the Rising Storm. So yeah, just gonna enjoy the little bit of the morning I have left before I have to sign on to work for the day.
All right, guys, I thought I'd come out here and give you a quick update as to how the reading has been going. And so I've been having a hard time finding time to vlog about what I've been reading, but the reading itself is going pretty well. Oh my goodness. I think when I started the vlog, it was like the middle to end of May, and today it's actually June 20th, the first day of summer, the summer solstice, and it is a scorcher out today. So just really loving the warm weather. I'm not bothered by the heat. I know a lot of people in our area can't stand it. But to me, I'm always cold, so it doesn't seem to affect me as much. But anyway, so I ended up finally finishing Spring, an anthology of the changing seasons, and I really ended up liking that quite a bit. There were so many beautiful pieces of writing in there, different reflections on nature and the changes in the environment, which I really enjoyed. There was a huge focus on birds, which I really enjoyed as well. Obviously, with any essay collection, there's always going to be some that you like more than others. So that was definitely the case. But I found a lot of new writers in it, and I enjoyed the biography in the back, which told a little bit about each person that submitted a piece to this book and kind of what else they've written, so you can go through and now I know of all these new nature writers. So that was a really great experience, and I'm looking forward to picking up book 2, the summer anthology, very soon, as soon as I finish what I'm reading now. So I also was able to finish The Rising Storm, the second book in the High Republic series, and that was really good. I had such a great time with this book. I think I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I just thought that it was a really amazing second installment. It's a little bit confusing because since the High Republic canon started, there's been so much that's been put out and produced. So when I first picked these books up, I only thought there were these like 6 adult novels, but they've added middle grade and YA and comics and graphic novels and all these really amazing contributions to it. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to say, so for the trilogy that I'm working on now, this is the second book. It was really solid. I liked it even better than the first book, Light of the Jedi. With Light of the Jedi, I felt like it took me a while to understand what was going on. There was a ton of world building and introduction of new characters. A lot of characters didn't make it, so you're investing, trying to figure out these people, and then they end up dying, and you're just like, okay. But what I did do is that after I finished The Rising Storm, I actually went back and listened to the audio version of Light of the Jedi again, which I read last summer or last spring. So I had a whole new perspective. I enjoyed it a lot more. I could picture things a lot more. A lot of the characters I really know now. So I felt like that was a great experience of going back and listening to the audio version of Light of the Jedi. So going forward, I'm going to squeeze in a couple of the middle grade and YA books, I believe. I'll put a picture here of what they are because I can't think of the titles off the top of my head, but those I'm just going to have fun with this summer. I'm really going to dive into this series and enjoy myself with them because it was such a great reading experience. And maybe it wasn't a perfect book. I hope I'm not overselling it, but for me personally, it really pulled me out of the reading slump I was in, and the audiobook slump especially. So it got me just back into it. So I think that alone really helped. So that was a great reading experience. I thought the characters had some really nice depth to them. The Jedis that we're learning about and getting to know, they had a lot of different flaws and things that they were struggling with. And the villains too. The villains were really interesting because we got to look inside their minds quite a bit. And you could see kind of how they got to be that way a little bit. And I really like that part of a story, like really getting inside the minds of the villains and figuring out why they're like this. How did they become so cruel and what happened to them? So fantastic. The audiobook was phenomenal. So I'm going to be enjoying that. And then let's see, what else did I read and finish? Okay, so I also finished Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and this again was just another fun read. The story itself I already knew from the movies, so I didn't have that good shock value with the twists and the turns, but it was just a really enjoyable space to be in, a really fun world to be in with these characters again. The writing's great. I felt like a little bit of some pacing issues in some parts of the book. Maybe because I just already knew the stories so well that I was anxious to have things moving along a little bit quicker. But I think that she did a great job of having all these different things going on within the book to keep it really interesting. We have like I mentioned before, Harry's stuff with the Quidditch matches, and Hermione with her studying, and Ron with his pet rat, and the some of the arguments they got through definitely were acting like kids, how kids might act. And I thought you really feel like you're reading middle grade, it felt like that, or young adult. I don't even know what Harry Potter is, but at this point I think it's still considered middle grade with these books. Just that world she created, despite what you might think of her as a person, she really had an amazing imagination and how she created this world and these characters. And yeah, I do always have some problems with some of the stereotypes she puts on the bad guys, but other than that, it was great. I can see why people just loved this series, people that grew up with it and stuff. So really enjoyed that. I also read and finished, I didn't vlog at all about this, but I read and finished Small Things Like These by Claire. Oh gosh, the name is escaping me. I'm sorry, I'll put it here. This was just a kind of impulse. I had it in my library holds for a while, and I remember hearing about this book from Flossie at the Grape Jelly Library, and she had said that she really enjoyed it. So after I watched her talk about it, I put it on my Libby holds, and I finally got around to reading it. And this was a really quick book. It was probably more of a novella. And to keep this really brief, it's basically a story about doing the right thing, even if it means standing up to the religion that you're supposed to be a part of and that's controlling your town, and noticing how the hypocrisy sometimes that went on within the Catholic Church in many different areas of the Catholic Church, but in this particular area, in the treatment of unwed mothers, and how that was handled in Ireland during this time. The writing itself was beautiful, very descriptive, emotional, and the story of this man and just living his simple life, loving his family, and coming across a situation where he knows that something's wrong and he ends up finding a way to do the right thing. It was just such a tiny little glimpse into the life of an unsung hero, if I guess that would sort of sum it up really well. So if you're in the mood for a quick, feel-good piece of writing that has beautiful prose, I do recommend that. It was really good. So thank you, Floss, for recommending that. I really enjoyed it. And then I picked up and ended up DNFing Women in the Middle Ages by Frances and Joseph Giles. And I had picked this for Historathon Q2, and it was just a random thing that I found at the library. I didn't want to go out and buy anything, and I thought, that sounds kind of interesting. I would like to learn more about that. And the book itself wasn't bad. The writing was pretty good. It was pretty easy to understand. I got through about 70 pages, and I think it's just a mood thing. I'm just not in the mood to really read it. And it is kind of depressing to hear about how women were treated back then, and just, I guess I just wasn't in the mood to really learn about it. Sometimes I just like to move forward in time when it comes to that. So I put that aside. I don't know if I will pick up anything else for Historathon Q2. I have some ideas for Q3 and Q4, but Q2, this time period of 500 AD to 1500 AD, I don't have, I think, enough interest right now to really dive into it. So we'll see what happens. I had some other books picked out, but I'm really just trying to go with the flow and not submit to the pressures of the reading events anymore, because I have noticed it does hinder my enjoyment of reading a little bit, that pressure. So I think today I'm just going to wrap up the vlog. There's been so much time that has passed, and I should get a video out, so I'm going to edit this with what we have, and then going forward, what am I reading now? So going forward in the next vlog, I started the third book in the His Dark Materials series, and which starts with the Golden Compass, and this one is called The Amber Spyglass. It's the third and final book in this trilogy, and I've had it on hold for so long that I decided to finish it up, and it's going really well so far. This is just a fun story that I've really enjoyed over the past year. And I don't think you will have seen this video yet, but I have a video coming soon about all the big books that I want to finish this summer. And I filmed this before I realized it was actually a reading event. So there's a big Books of Summer reading event going on for this summer, just to give yourself some time to tackle some of these giant books that we all probably have started and not finished. So not sure how the vlogging is going to go for the rest of the summer yet. If I'm just going to be focused on reading really long books, there might not be too much variety in what I can do, but I'm going to just see how it goes and see how I feel. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry if this vlog is a little all over the place, but it is what it is, you know? No worries. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're all doing well, and I will see you soon. Take care, everybody.